Earlier this week, we honored all of the presidents of the United States on a day dedicated to their grit, their challenges, and their accomplishments. And as America turns 250 years old in 2026, our Jim Williams looks at two presidents who called Illinois their home.
Nearly 150 years separated the presidencies of Abraham Lincoln and Barack Obama, who both launched political careers here in Illinois. In their times in office, they faced different challenges, but the 44th president drew inspiration from the 16th president.
That I will be the Democratic nominee for the President of the United States of America.
On a frigid February morning in 2007, then Senator Barack Obama announced he was running for president. The symbolism of where he delivered the speech was unmistakable, here at the old state capitol building in Springfield, Illinois. Here in 1858, another man from Illinois who became president gave us one of the most famous speeches in American history. "I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free," Abraham Lincoln told the crowd.
The Lincoln that Obama is linking himself to in that moment in announcing his candidacy is the Lincoln who gave the House divided speech. And that's the Lincoln Obama, I think, was channeling in that moment as he talks, about visions of community and democracy.
We talked with University of Chicago professor Jane Daly about the 16th and 44th presidents. These men forever linked. Both lawyers from Illinois, both served in the Illinois legislature before they were elected to Congress. The great emancipator and the nation's first black president.
It's the answer spoken by young and old, rich and poor, Democrat and Republican.
You ask, what they have in common, and I think they both have a very strong belief in regular people, the capacity of Americans to be moral people, not every minute of every day, to take a stand on the right side of things if given the opportunity.
Both Lincoln and Obama came to Illinois from other places. Lincoln from Kentucky and Indiana, Obama from Hawaii and New York. But while Obama is a product of Ivy League schools, Lincoln was self-taught.
He just read voraciously all the time. He didn't boast about that, but someone asked him once, I think, who did you study law with? And he said, nobody. I read.
Poverty drove Lincoln from Kentucky to Indiana, then to Illinois. Obama, inspired by Chicago's first black mayor, Harold Washington, moved here to become a community organizer.
Now he ends up serving the state of Illinois. I'm not sure he would have imagined that when he came to Chicago. I think he was coming specifically to Chicago to do the kind of community organizing and activism that he wanted to do in the tradition of people who'd gone before him.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
When Barack Obama took the presidential oath of office on January 20th, 2009, he placed his hand on Abraham Lincoln's Bible.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
In his second term in 2013, Obama hand-wrote an essay submitted to the Lincoln Library to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. In the evening, when Michelle and the girls have gone to bed, I sometimes walk down the hall to a room Abraham Lincoln used as his office. It contains an original copy of the Gettysburg Address, written in Lincoln's own hand. I linger on these few words that have helped define our American experiment, a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
One of the things that I think he was signaling, and Lincoln himself signaled this all the time, was the open possibility of the future. Obama says constantly, we want to have a more perfect union. We're never going to get there. We're never going to have a perfect union. But if we all work really hard, we might have a more perfect union.
In writing about Lincoln, Obama went on to say, Lincoln's words give us confidence that whatever trials await us, this nation and the freedom we cherish can and shall prevail. Jim Williams, CBS News, Chicago.